It is a new era in Las Vegas following the Raiders' offseason release of longtime quarterback Derek Carr. This will be the first time since 2014 that the Raiders will open a season without Carr as their starter. The team chose to sign former 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo to a 3-year, $72 million contract with over $45 million in total guarantees to try and compete right now. While Jimmy G is no slump and the team can certainly bounce back, I struggle to really understand the Raiders' offseason approach, and I don't believe the front office and management has put these players in a position to succeed. Before we dive deep into Jimmy Garoppolo, it's important to understand some background about the Raiders and Derek Carr last season. Around this time last year, the Raiders were the hot talk of the NFL. The team traded for the best receiver in the NFL, Davante Adams, and paired him with college teammate and best friend Derek Carr. The combination of Derek Carr, Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, and Hunter Renfrow genuinely looked to be an explosive and dangerous offense. The expectations were sky high, with several prominent analysts even picking the team to win the division and make the playoffs. Just 1 year prior, head coach John Gruden was let go mid-season, but the players rallied back and still managed to sneak into the playoffs. Adding Davante Adams and a new offensive guru, head coach Josh McDaniels, should have pushed the Raiders over the hump, right? Well, not even at all. The Raiders' 2022 campaign was a complete disaster. They initially began 0-3 and eventually moved to 2-7 before finally putting some wins together at the end of the year before finishing 6-11. While the Raiders' collapse was not just a product of Derek Carr's poor play, he played significantly worse than in previous seasons. His passer rating was the lowest it's been since his rookie season at 86.3. His completion percentage fell 8 points to an awful 60%, and both his yards per attempt and overall yards per game plummeted alongside. The Raiders were totally justified in releasing Carr. I mean, the team surrounded him with pretty amazing weapons and he still struggled to win games. Releasing Carr was the right move. What I don't understand, however, is why this team transitions from Carr to Garoppolo as if he's going to come in and save the day. The defense last year ranked 26th in points per game, and the team has done virtually nothing to add talent through free agency to make the unit better. While they still have most of their playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, Darren Waller was traded to New York for a third-round pick. A little side note, I love this move if you're the Giants, but how does this make any sense for the Raiders? I would be more than fine with the move if the team pulls a Chicago Bears move and strips the entire roster for either draft picks or they clear up salary cap, but they are doing the opposite. The Raiders signed Jimmy G, who at best is a slightly better version than Derek Carr, and at worst is basically the same guy, just a little bit more sporadic. Why would the Raiders add a new QB and pay him fairly well and keep the same offensive talent, but trade Darren Waller? How does that help them win right now? The simple answer is it does not, and that's really what I have an issue with. This whole 1 foot in and 1 foot out approach has burned so many teams in the past, and we're seeing it right now. The worst place you can possibly be in is not winning 1 or 2 or 3 games in a season. The worst place to be in is consistently winning 6 to 7 games a year, sticking with the same quarterback and the same core of players, and not having a clear direction. I simply do not understand why front offices don't get this. If you are a team and don't genuinely believe you have a chance to win a Super Bowl or do not have a true top 10 franchise quarterback, I don't get this charades style game of pretending to be something that you're not. Why attempt to win now by adding a player like Jimmy G if you know deep down you won't be able to win a Super Bowl with him because your roster simply is not good enough? Furthermore, if you are going to sign Garoppolo, which is clearly indicating you're trying to win now, why trade away Waller for a third-round pick? It simply doesn't make any sense. I'm also more concerned for the Raiders because of their position in the NFL draft. Teams 1 through 3 are all but guaranteed to select quarterbacks, meaning Vegas will have at best the 4th option sitting at number 7 overall. I also believe that there's a possibility a team could select a quarterback after them or make a trade to jump them, meaning if the Raiders really want a quarterback, they're more than likely going to have to make a trade. It's possible they opt out and stay where they are at 7, and if there's not a quarterback prospect that they like, they just take the best player available, which is fine. But you know Jimmy G isn't a long-term answer. And Garoppolo isn't also terrible enough that he's going to throw away your season and give you the number 1 overall pick next year so you can take Caleb Williams. This is all to say that the Raiders' offseason approach is extremely confusing. While the team released Derek Carr, recognizing he's not a championship caliber quarterback, signing Jimmy G and adding almost nothing in free agency to improve the team puts the Raiders in the single worst position in the NFL, purgatory. They will probably not be good enough to make the playoffs. If they do, it'll be a miracle, and they will most certainly be eliminated in the first round with no real shot at a Super Bowl. And they will probably not be bad enough to be picking inside of the top 3 to have their shot at a quarterback. Front offices are smart enough to know whether their team can truly compete for a championship. What I don't understand is why so many of them knowingly trot out below average teams for the hell of it. I believe unless you have a top 10 quarterback or genuinely have a real shot at a Super Bowl, your team should strip all of its talent by adding draft picks and establish a future. Pull the Chicago Bears motto, get rid of bad contracts, get rid of older players, suck now for 1 year, get the number 1 overall pick and either take a quarterback or you trade that away for a haul. The Raiders are not using that strategy, and more than likely, they're going to be in the same exact position next year. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you liked it, I would love to hear your thoughts. Like and subscribe is the easiest way to support the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.